If you want to become a better judoka, a better athlete, you shouldn't copy what the pros are doing. And I'm going to explain you why in this video and what you should do is instead. First of all, who am I? My name is Stanislav. I am a judo black belt and I am a physical therapist and future strength and conditioning coach. And today I'm going to explain to you why you shouldn't train like a pro and what you should do instead. First of all, let's ask ourselves why the pros are actually pros. How do they get there? Is it their training or is it something else? Okay? First of all, there is this culture in martial arts when everyone is saying, oh, if you work hard enough, you will eventually get there. If you work hard enough, the hard work will pay, which is true in a sense, which means if you're not working hard, you will not get anywhere, and that's absolutely right. But it's not, you shouldn't take a clip taken from an Instagram account of a judoka or wrestler or jiu-jitsu. You shouldn't take those clips and apply that blindly to your training, because training is not the only factor for pros becoming pros. There is, of course, genetics. Genetics plays a big role. It's not huge like in other sports, like sprinting, for example. In sprinting, if you don't have a certain amount of muscle fibers, white muscle fibers, and a good tendon stiffness, you will never become an elite sprinter. While in grappling in general, since there is a big tactical and technical thing, genetics doesn't play a big role, but it still plays a role. So genetics is a good factor to becoming a pro. Also, early age exposure to sports. During your early age, during your upbringing, if your parents invested in your athletic development, you will likely become a better athlete. There is also examples of people that become later in life, they became good athletes, but it's also because they were exposed to various type of stimulus and athletic movements when they were younger. So their brain, their coordination improved at a very young age. And you can still become very athletic later in life, but if you don't have that early exposure when you're young, it will be much more difficult. It's like learning how to read when you're 6 and learning how to read when you're 15. You can still do it, but it becomes much more difficult the more older you become. Also, there is another element when you see functional patterns, when you see different gurus that are showcasing how their athletes are training and how they are winning competitions. As I said, there is early age exposure to sports, and there is also high quality skill training years back before they become who they become. Most athletes, especially judokas and wrestlers, become Olympic athletes, but they have trained since they were kids. Since they were kids, they have 15, 20 years of training their sport at a very young age. They put a lot of reps and repetition in this kind of movements since they were a kid. So they have a high quality skill training back before they started doing whatever they're doing right now. The first example that I had in my mind is Kyle Dake, which is also the athlete that I put in the thumbnail because he's a very good example. Kyle Dake became famous because he started to perform functional patterns training, which is absolutely rubbish. But Kyle Dake is still winning tournaments. Why? Well, first of all, because Kyle Dake is wrestling since he was like a toddler. So he has a high level of reps of double leg takedowns, of scrambles, and general grappling knowledge that he accumulated since he was a kid. Also, he has a long history of good strength and conditioning on his back. Likely in college, he's done a lot of lifting, he's done a lot of running, he's done a lot of general wrestling training before start doing functional patterns. It's not functional patterns that make Kyle Dake who Kyle Dake is right now. It's what he has done before, okay? So also, there is also luck, because if you could be the best athlete in the world, you could be the best wrestler, you could be the best judoka, but if you, for example, get injured, unluckily get injured, your career will likely be over if that's a serious injury. And also there is also the fact that no one really talking about, well, no one really talking about, most people are talking about, but it's not something that, especially in the judo and wrestling space, isn't talked that much. There is some steroids in the game, okay? People are using steroids. All pro athletes are using steroids because of sponsorships, because that's their living, so they need to, on that depends their own salary. So I'm not critiquing, I, I mean, it's not something fair, but it's something that has various aspects to it that we are not covering in this video, but also you have to consider that most of these athletes are enhanced. Okay, so there is a lot of different factors that make a pro athlete an actual pro athlete, and taking a glimpse of their training and using that as something that you can use in your own training. You shouldn't just copy blindly what they are doing. And by the way, I'm not saying that pros are not hard working. I'm not saying that pros don't deserve to being there. I'm saying that there are multiple factors around the pros being pros, and by you, normal human being, as just as I am, who wants to become a better judoka, a better grappler, taking those clips without context and apply that blindly will not help you to become a better athlete. So what you should do instead, I've made a video, I believe a couple of days ago, of Shohei Ono's strength and conditioning training. And in that video, Ono is doing a lot of very interesting stuff, a lot of stuff that is actually useful to develop yourself and become a better athlete. But you need to take what the pros are doing and use your critical thinking to understand, is this thing useful for me to become a better athlete or not? Is this something that can actually help me or not? Okay, you should look at what they are doing and see if that's something that can help you to become better, because their training is suited perfectly for them, is suited for their own situation, for their own injury history, is suited for what they are doing right now to go to the next level, which isn't necessarily what you need right now to go to the next level. Do you get what I mean? They are doing what they need in order to improve. But what they need in order to improve might not be what you need in order to improve right now, because you're not a pro. You might not have the same injury history that they have. You might not have the same weakness that they have. Maybe you need to work on more basic stuff, okay, for example. And also there is an harsh reality. And for a lot of time, I always wanted to become a good athlete. I want to become a good grappler. I became a slightly decent athlete, and I always thought for a lot of time that the pros, that the people that were better than me, they were training in a different way. They were doing some secret drilling, they were doing some secret strength and conditioning exoteric tactic that will make them better. The reality is that pros, or people that are better than you are likely not training very differently. That's the harsh reality. They are doing probably the same stuff that you're doing, but with higher volume, intensity, or frequency that you're doing. And I understood that when an Olympic champion come into my dojo. An Olympic champion coming into my dojo doing a lesson about Morote Soinage, because that was his main throw. And he asked me, hey, how much uchikomis do you do in around a week, let's say? And I started to thinking, and I was like, well, I do around 3 to 4 trainings a week. In one training, I'll do maybe 80 to 100 uchikomis. So yeah, maybe 300 uchikomis per week. He looked at me and said, I was doing, when I was in my prime, 1,000 uchikomis a week. He was doing 3 times the volume that I was doing. And when he told me that thing, it was like, oh shit. Something clicked into my mind. I was like, I thought that I was training hard, and I thought that I was training a lot, but I'm not doing enough. The reality is that I was doing the right thing, but I wasn't doing enough of that. And when I've gone to different international training camps. In the international training camps in judo, there is also usually there is also national teams. There is also pros that are people that are actually paid to be in judoka training with you on the same mat, and you can see their training. And okay, I know that probably when they are in closed doors, they probably look into more technical stuff and all of that shit. But when you look at what the pros are doing during training camps, they are doing the same things that you're doing in your average dojo. They are doing uchikomis, they are doing nagekomis, they are doing kumikatas drilling. They are doing all of that basic stuff, but they're doing it at a higher intensity and with much higher volume that you are actually doing. So more likely, it's not that you need to copy the pros to find some strange exoterical thing. You just need to do more and more intensity of what you're doing. Maybe you have some stuff that you're missing, but 80% of what you need is just to do more and with higher intensity than what you're actually doing. And you might ask, okay, I may want to implement some of this stuff. I may want to actually start to see what I'm lacking in my training and how can I adjust that? How can you implement this process of critical thinking? This is why coaches exist. This is why sensei exists. This is why your sensei exists. So ask to your coach, ask to your sensei, hey, I think that I lack something in my game. I think that I lack something in what am I doing in my judo, in my grappling. What do you think should I focus more on? What do you think should I do more? What am I doing wrong? What is something that I can actually understand about? And sometimes having a different opinion from someone else who doesn't know you can help you better understand what you need to work on. And doing stuff, you can do stuff on your own, of course, but you need to research, you need to face yourself with uncertainty, you need to actually face a lot of different point of views and start to do trial and errors to understand what working and what is not working. And I've done this process for you, and I can actually help you if you need some advice on how to improve your training. What are you missing in your training, your strength and conditioning, in your judo technical specific training? If you need some help with rehab, I can actually give you a free consultation, okay? I don't want any money from that. I just want to genuinely help another judoka to improve his physical performance. So if you might need some help to do that, you can find a link in the description where you can book a one-on-one call with me, or you can write me an email and I will be gladly happy to help you. Hope that this video was useful. Remember not to copy pros, but implement what they're doing in your own context and in order to improve your own performance. Thank you for watching, and remember to aim upward as always.